to put down, this was the syllabus, for how this Sahaba, how they went from being people who were burying their daughters alive and drinking alcohol and fighting generations of feuds over camel races. This was Jahiliyyah, and how in only a very small amount of period, and at least in a 23-year period, that these people went to radiallahu anhum wa radu an. They were the best people that ever walked the earth, and that their knowledge was such that if we have anyone who is a mufti or an alim or anybody today, they have no ground to stand on unless their opinion agrees with the collective opinion of these people radiallahu anhum. This was the level of people that we are looking at. How did they get to this level? What university did they attend? What YouTube videos did they watch? What books did they read? And ummi people. So we have to look at what was their methodology. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself gave the methodology as well. Yutla alayhim ayatihi. First of all, then, the Prophet ﷺ was sent to recite the verses of the Quran to the people. In this, it also means da'wah. So the very first thing that we see that the Prophet ﷺ instilled in Sahaba was the effort of da'wah. The reason why this is, and this applies to the children as well, because every man, every woman, every sick person, every smart person, every foolish, every single person, young and old, the Prophet ﷺ turned them into a da'i. Not everybody became an alim, but everyone became da'i, right? In other words, that everybody learnt the ability to call people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to bring people's attention from the dunya to the akhirah, to bring people's attention from the temporary things to the infinite things, and to bring people's attention from the creation to the creator. This was the quality that was instilled into everybody, regardless of age, regardless of ability, regardless of knowledge or wealth or any type of education. So we have to also instill the same thing into ourselves and into our family as well. Yutlu alayhi ayatihi. He came to recite the verses of Quran. What is Allah saying to us? What does Allah want to say to us? Then, وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ. Then, وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابِ. Then, وَالْحِكْمَةِ. You see? So there's a stage here. First of all, we've talked about the first stage, the verses of the Quran. And MashaAllah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made that these children and that these young adults now, MashaAllah, that they are standing up and they are reciting the kitab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that puts them into a small bracket of Muslims. We have to be very thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He's given us tawfiq to produce this even in itself. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept and increase and make everything easy. Allah says, if you help Allah, Allah will help you and make your feet strong. And so may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do this for you as well. Back to tartib. What was the tartib? What was the methodology? After this coming with the verses, da'wah, communicating what Allah is saying to us, to the people, then وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ. Now this is very, very significant, my dear respected brothers and sisters. Extremely significant. Because tazkiyah, this essentially brings us to the comparable definition with education. Education has no direct translation in the Arabic. The Arabic phrase that's used is ta'alim, right? So ta'alim wa tarbiyah. Ta'alim wa tarbiyah, and these things are together, right? Tarbiyah and ta'alim are together. In other words, the grooming, the spiritual and intellectual correction of the individual is essential for their ta'alim, for their education. This is an Islamic concept. It also exists in other traditions and other religions as well. But it certainly 100% does not exist in the secular education, which we are all products of to some degree, and which our children will also no doubt become products of as well. So in Islam, it was understood, and also by the early generations, that unless the individual from the childhood or whatever time of learning, unless I become corrected from within, in terms of adab, in terms of etiquettes, in terms of respect, in terms of humility and modesty, unless I correct myself and that my heart is ready for this message, then the tarbiyah and the education of the kitabs and the books and the outward knowledge would not start. Abdullah bin Mubarak, rahimahullah ta'ala, one of the greatest muhaddith of all time, he said to the nearest meaning, he said that the Salaf, meaning the early Muslims, that if they wanted to learn the hadith, that they would have to be an abid of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for 20 years. They would have to be an abid, meaning they would have to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala consciously for 20 years before they were even allowed to open up the kitab of hadith. Before they were even allowed to open it up. Many of the other early muhaddithin, they said much the same types of things. They said, for example, they said, I learned adab for 30 years and I learned hadith for 20 years. Adab for 30 years and then hadith for 20 years. So this is something that we have to focus on. Why? Is because we have lost it. My feeling, my dear respected brothers and elders, that the reason that we've lost it is because we've become so influenced. Everywhere in the Muslim world is also following a secular education system, which was designed and blueprinted by people who do not know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If they do not know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then they do not understand what He intends for His makhluk, what He intends for His creation. And thereby the knowledge that they teach cannot lead ultimately to good. This is why that the knowledge that is in the secular system will lead to atomic explosions and will lead to military industrial complexes and leading to huge social engineering projects, and we see the consequences of those in Soviet Russia and other places like this as well. So this is when meaning is divorced from education, when meaning is divorced from knowledge, then this is the consequences. And the consequences will also that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala set down in His tartib, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam instilled. Although it's the second level, it's the most essential for us to think about because it has been divorced from the secular system. We go straight in to read the books. We then do the examination. And then after the examination, everybody forgets whatever they had, whatever they had put down, maybe a week later. But you're still qualified. You're still qualified. Even though you might forget what was in the examination. We all know, any of us were in university, right? And so you still have the qualification. But we know that ilm and ta'aleem derives from allama, imprint in Islam. So when we are answered the questions in the qabr, ma rabbuka, ma dinukum, ma nabiyuka, when we're asked these questions, which is the real examination for me, for you, for our children, this is the examination. It won't matter what we've memorized the night before. It will matter with what is allama, what has been imprinted on your hearts, what has been imprinted on my heart, because it will be read, the answer. So my dear respected brothers and elders and sisters, and to the children as well, we have to look at our environment at home. We have to look at and realize that at home, if our homes are not Darus Salam, if we have not made our homes Darus Salam, then this will be the most effective way of our children's, of making things difficult for our children to develop, and certainly making it difficult for our own selves to develop. So this is number one. We know from our own experience in the madrasas as well, just as Sister Hafsa was saying as well, in a roundabout way, there's different types of children that have different abilities and different levels of interest. That's always going to be the case, yeah? But that what we find is that those children who come from homes where sunnah is practiced, where ta'aleem is being done, where there's an environment of iman, they're talking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that these children, that if they go to a non-Muslim school, or if they go to a Muslim type of school as well, or if they're homeschooled, this is the one single most effective way of guaranteeing the iman and the tarbiyah of our children, is that our homes are first of all Darus Salam. So may Allah give us tawfiq first of all to establish that, and that we had first of all that the da'wah and the talking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the kitab. Alhamdulillah, the children have been learning the kitab of Allah. Now it is time for tazkiyah and it is time for tarbiyah at home. Right? We teach etiquettes of respect for elders, respect for ulama, respect for teachers like this. And we have to instill that into ourselves as well. Then وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابِ, then the knowledge of the kitab can come after the tazkiyah has been done. This is very important because today we have many people who know the kitab, they know Arabic, they know hadith, but because the tazkiyah has not been done, we see that the effect is negative ultimately. And then if all of these are done correctly, then hikmah. And then wisdom will come. And so there's a saying in Pashto, the Afghans, they say, I don't know if anybody speaks Pashto, they can correct my elocution. But it basically means that even if a donkey is doing tawaf of the Kaaba, he doesn't become a haji. And so we have to elevate ourselves. We have to. Imam al-Ghazali, rahimahullah ta'ala, he said the heart is the seed of knowledge, or the heart is the ground for the seed of knowledge. But it will not grow unless the soil has been prepared first of all. So our hearts must be cleaned of worldly desires. Our hearts must be cleaned of attachments and of ego and of nafs and these types of things before we can introduce Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq, before we can bring this in. But when we do, that we will see nurun ala nur, we will see light upon light in our lives, in the lives of our families as well. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq to me and to you, inshaAllah, that we can practice this, inshaAllah. Jazakumullah khairan, inshaAllah, and that we will invite then Brother Awais, inshaAllah, to... Okay, then Sister Hafsa, inshaAllah, can bring another speaker on, inshaAllah. Jazakumullah khairan.